Well, welcome back to the Sean Trey Show. I have an awesome guest with me today. Now, would you like to tell people who you are and what you do?
Hi, everybody. My name is Frances Praet. I'm a musician in Nashville, Tennessee. I do like Americana type music. So, yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, we were talking before we started recording about the situation with Adele and the reporter not listening, and I did listen. I did go through, listened on Spotify, and I went through your music, and I really enjoyed it. Now,
Thank you.
I was noticing, I was trying to pick up a vibe, and who are some of your inspirations? Because I was trying to place. I was hearing your music, and I was like, trying to like sit there and think about like because you're Americana, but you've got this special style.
Thank
And tell
you.
me about your style and kind of where did you get your inspiration from?
Yeah. So, both my parents are musicians, actually. And when I was young, by that time, they were past their prime and they had kind of morphed into a cover band of like classic oldies and stuff like that.
It's
So
awesome.
I grew up just like listening to them play all of that stuff. So that's kind of my comfort genre. I like classic rock and listen to a lot of Eagles, Love and Spoonful, Linda Ronstadt, that kind of vibe. But I like modern music too. I think it's been an interesting journey, kind of like in songwriting, you mimic what you listen to. So I've got
Yeah.
this old influence mixed with this newer style, and it just kind of comes out. I'm from the South too, so it kind of comes out a little country sometimes.
Hmm.
But I'm pretty big on not kind of putting yourself in a box. I don't really stick to any genre just for the sake of doing it. I just kind of write what I feel and what happens happens. For the sake
I
of the
love that.
song, I'm willing to go any direction, production wise. So
Well, and that's the thing is it's I think that we have this idea, and I think it was something that was kind of perpetuated by the record companies, right? And there's a reason that they did it, is like they needed to know how to market someone.
right,
And so like they're like, "Well, you're that rock kid, It's like,
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna you gotta do rock music. Well, what about if I like blues? Not really what you want to be doing. And there were these people that were just, always like kind of
right.
in your ear going, do this, do this. But we've entered this time where like people kind of get to play with their styles and cross into different genres, which is really awesome. You
Yes.
know,
And being an independent artist, I think is a huge, honestly, it's an advantage to the artist to be independent
there's a lot of
nowadays.
freedom.
There's
Yeah.
so much freedom, and everyone has access to, release their music and on
Yep.
Spotify and iTunes and everything, and the listener has access to more music than ever before. So, I mean, I think it works in our favor. But
I think so. And I think that there's this. Um, Granted, there's still a big money system in
sure,
in promotion. However, the reality is if you know how to use your social media, if you know how to kind of work the system, you can be getting yourself out there into the circles that you want to be getting into without having to worry about it. So
absolutely, yeah,
now, talk to me about your music. Now, how did you begin getting into music? Now, you said your parents are musicians, but that
yeah.
doesn't say where you got the bug from. When did you start really, going down the rabbit hole?
Well, as soon as I could like walk and talk, my parents put a guitar in my hands and put me in piano lessons and taught me how to write a song. And, when I was 6 or 7, I remember them sitting me down and being like, "This is how you write a song. This is
That's
the
awesome.
verse, chorus, bridge. Now go make us some money or something." So I've been doing it since I was as young as I can remember. And I started recording a little bit. My dad is a studio owner, and so I got to record a little bit in high school, and then I moved to Nashville. I came to Belmont University, where obviously you're surrounded with like tons of musicians and like the best of the best in the recording world and things like that. And I got to take some classes on demo production and things like that, and really got into that side. And then by the time I graduated, I was ready to join my dad in his studio, and we created a little production company. So I've been, able to produce my own music, and that process, I love being in the studio. I write,
Right.
since we own the studio, I can be in the studio as much as I want. Um, So, writing, recording, producing, and all kind of like merges into one for me. But I can have a song ready in an hour or like 3 weeks. It just depends on the song. So,
Right. And I think that's the beauty that you have. But and I would say I was going to say the beauty that you have because you have a studio of,
mhm.
accessible. But you know what? Anyone can have a facility. Like all you need now is some type of digital audio converter. Whatever you're
Right.
using for that conversion plus a mic and a computer and a
Yeah.
DAW.
So true.
Probably some headphones would be
Yeah.
important to have as well.
It'd be nice,
But
but
that's
it's
about
not
it.
extra.
But
Yeah.
that's about it. That's what you really need. And if you
Yeah.
can have that, and granted, if you play an instrument, it's probably quite important.
Yeah.
But right there, you've got enough to kind of put things together. And maybe you
Yeah.
don't have to play an instrument. You can collaborate with people.
Right.
And
Well,
so
yeah, I was
it
actually reading an interview with Phineas recently, who's a
mm,
big producer right now, and he was talking about how, you at home have the same tools that I had when I was starting out, and I
right.
think that's so empowering,
Well,
especially.
he's Billie Eilish's older brother, right?
Yes, yes.
And one of her songs she recorded, like one of the big songs she recorded on $100 mic.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
it was just a tiny little mic. I was reading. I'm trying to get our mic. My wife is a singer here in Vietnam. She was the
Oh,
first winner of Vietnam Idol, and she's a singer. And
that's so
I
cool.
I help her do her music, and we do
Yeah.
music together. It was like fun stuff. But our main mic went down. It wasn't a great mic, but it was a good mic. It was $1,000 mic, and it was something we invested in, and it crashed, and we were like, "Damn it,
Yeah.
that's not good."
Now what?
Yeah, and so I've been looking at different mics, and I've been researching because a mic is a really important thing for a
It
singer
is.
because it's like you want to find something that matches your voice, your style, and all that, and not break your budget in the
Yeah.
process. And I was like reading, I was like, oh, ooh, what did Billie Eilish use? Oh, that's pretty cool because she's got major vocal range and power,
Yeah.
and there it was like $120, and I was like, well,
I
maybe
know.
it doesn't matter as much as you think. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
about
I mean, I think the average person listening wouldn't know. If you recorded it
exactly.
in a bedroom or in a big studio, I think what comes into play is how you're able to use the tools that you have. I think you can
Yep.
manipulate a $100 mic to sound like a $10,000 mic if you know what
Yep.
you're doing. But people who care about audio and like can hear the little things, we sometimes notice, but it's like the average
Granted,
listener.
there are people out there going, this guy, man. I'm
No.
sorry to the purists. No, I mean, but again, and it's like, and the reality is most people are listening on this or with earbuds. And granted, I'm not saying don't have great quality, but I think more of where my direction is, it all comes down to the story and the song. You know what I mean? And are you telling stories through your music that are compelling,
Right.
that are things that people can relate to? Because I think that's something that people tend to forget nowadays is
Yeah.
that, and I love that your parents right in the beginning were trying to, teach you in the ways of the force,
Yeah, and they always told me you could be the greatest singer in the world, but if you don't have a good song, nobody's going to listen to you.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, I agree. It all comes down to the song.
Yeah. And there was a great, who was it? I think it might have been Ben Harper. And Ben Harper had this interview, and they were like interviewing him because his songs are so covered online. They're like,
Yeah.
he's like, and they're like, what do you think? And they're like, some of these, how do they sound? He's like, some of these people are way better than me. And he's like, and then he was really cool about it too. He's like, I'm super, super excited that people like to sing my music. And he
Yeah.
didn't have a sideways jab, but he's like, I'm glad that, when I wrote these, there's songs that touch people. And that was like right there. I was like, but he wrote them. He
Right.
created them. You know what I mean? And
Right.
like,
That's a pretty
you,
cool claim to say you created
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
right. Now, what type of stories, topics inspire you when you write your music?
I really lean on personal experience and conversations with friends. I think a lot of my song ideas come from talking with friends about what's going on in their life and things that are going on in mine. I've tried to, come up with philosophical ideas and write a song based off that, but I'm just no good at that. It's just not my style.
Hmm.
So um, I don't know. I really like connecting with people's stories because the likelihood that multiple people have felt the same thing is high in a world of however
Hmm.
many billion people there are. So, yeah.
I completely agree. It's there's this. We might look different, we might sound different, we might talk different, but we all, at the end of the day, we all want to be loved, we want to be
Yep.
happy, we want to be cared for, and I think
Yep.
that universal experiences and music is something that bridges that gap. You know.
I agree. Yep. It's beautiful.
Now tell me about one of your songs that that you really enjoyed writing and was something that you really is something like that's what I want to share.
Yeah. Gosh, the first song I ever came out with is called Something Good. And that I challenged
Mm.
myself with that one because I tend to just write really like sad ballady songs. That's kind of my go-to. And I was like, I cannot release an entire album of sad songs. And so I kind of challenged myself to write a happy one. And that was really fun because I kind of came into my own in the process of writing that song as far as being a keyboard player goes.
That's awesome.
I wrote a lot of complicated parts for that song, and I played with a full band recently at a show, and I was trying to teach a couple new musicians that song, and I was like, why did I do this? Why did I make it so complicated? But it was because I wanted to prove to myself I could do it. So I really love
Yep.
listening back to that one and kind of hearing. I sound so, I don't know, new to the whole process of knowing, people are going to hear this, and I wanted to make everything perfect. So I like listening
Mm.
back on that one. Another one, Love is State of Mind, is actually one that my dad wrote in the 70s, and he
Oh,
gave it to
nice.
me because I love it. So I check out all the lines about like rainbows and four-leaf clovers and stuff, and he let me rewrite it a little bit. So that's just a
You gotta
sentimental
love the
one that I love.
'70s, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those are probably my favorites, and they're the best to perform. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Now, as you've been coming up in your career, what are some of the things that you're doing to kind of build your brand right now and build your how do I put this? Your visibility as you start growing,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of trying to figure that out at the same time,
right?
fake it till you make it. But I am trying to
Kind of
engage a
half
lot.
between a Hail Mary and a plan, you know what I'm saying?
Right, like please follow me or something.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to engage a lot on social media and kind of keep content coming out. I dabble
Mm.
in TikTok in the hopes of maybe having a
I
good
fail
video.
at TikTok. I
Yeah, it's that's a powerful tool, but it's also
Yeah, it
very
is.
difficult to keep up with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I play around a lot, and I try to meet as many people as I can and kind of build a following that way. That's more genuine and less like, oh, you like these pictures I post on Instagram, because they'll probably unfollow you in a couple days and not listen to your music. So yeah, I'm just kind of faking it till I make it. But
I think that the imposter syndrome is something that you find in a lot of
yes.
places. When I was I started out in my artistic career doing acting, and I remember when I got onto a couple of the big sets, like the big film sets that were like the first ones I was on, and I was just saying, I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, but you know what? I found out there were a bunch of people who didn't know what they were doing there, and they
So
just were
yes.
like, and they were just like, yeah, and I think that one of the cool things about that place, and I think that that's something that we should try to emulate more and get back to more, is that when we first start out, there's still a wonder. There's a wonder to the whole process. There's a wonder to the creation. There's a wonder to,
Yes.
because like what you just described with your first song, you were so new, you were trying to make it perfect, and you know, but yet it was something that was special, and the whole process was interesting. And I hope that more people can kind of get back to that, because we tend to kind of get into a rut. You
Yeah.
know, you kind of do the same thing. You kind of,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden we lose some of that. Not the creativity, because I think people still keep the creativity, but the bliss and the wonder of those early
Yes.
experiences.
Definitely. And I always, tell the people around me, I love to have people really tell me what they think. I never want to be coddled. I never want to be told, like, oh, you're great. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you think, because that's just not true.
Right?
But yeah, I love like having people in my life who are constructive and give advice and foster creativity, but also kind of keep you down to earth and let how the rest of the world is going to perceive this thing you think is so great in your head.
Right. Yeah.
So,
This is the best. And
yeah,
like, man,
it's probably not, but if I like it, I guess it's okay.
I've been behind the camera and behind the computer for a long time with my music and my film, because
Yeah.
and then recently my wife and we've been getting back into doing more music after kind of a hiatus during the COVID lockdowns. It was everyone was kind of like, let's reevaluate what's going on.
Yeah.
And I started writing music, and I'm 42, but I'm
No,
just like, I wrote a couple songs for us, right? And I was just like, why not? And it was really I put out one of my first songs that I had written for my wife and daughter last week.
That's a huge deal. Wait, what's it called? What's your artist name? Let me look it up. What's
These
it?
Two Hands, and it's under Sean Trace. Look up These Two Hands, Sean Trace. And that's I have some music up with my wife that are covers. But so for people that are watching, please check out These Two Hands by Sean Trace. No.
Yes.
Little needless plug there. But it was something that was just like fun, and I wrote it for my wife, right? But luckily I sent it to a couple people. The first draft, like, my vocals sucked.
Yeah.
I had to go back at them. I had to go at it. But like, my friend was like, I love that I sent it to him, and he's like, yeah, man, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
You go and you fix it. And to me, I'm still not happy with it. Like, no joke. Like, I was like, I listened to it again time. I was like, right there, I make a mistake. Right there, I don't like that. Right there. And I was like, my friend Philip gave me great advice. And he's an Emmy-winning, producer. And he's like, don't delete. Dilute.
Yeah.
You might not be happy with it. Move on.
Yeah.
Get it out and move on.
That's great advice. I think, and I hear this a lot from friends of mine who are artists too. We hear all of our imperfections because we've been working on it for hours, just poring over every detail. No one is listening to every detail like we are. We're our own worst critics. And
I was like, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, the way I say these two words, I don't like the articulation. Right. And my friend was like, dude, let it go.
Let it go. No one cares. Yeah.
But it's beautiful that, like, and again, the process is so simplified that I can pull it off. Anyone can pull it off. God knows if I can pull it off, anyone can pull it off, and it's accessible. And I love that because, I'm going to share with you something that always frustrates me. I remember sitting in my guidance counselor's office, and I was like, I want to be a professional musician. I want to sing. And he's like, you really should think about a stable career. And I went with a stable career. And I went with that. And I was just like, and I don't regret anything because I am who I am because of my life and my journey. And I've got an amazing daughter that if I had have done something else, I don't think she'd be here. And I'm like, I have that total, like, when I watched Avengers Endgame and was it Tony Stark was like, I can't lose this. I was like, dude, I get that. Yep. You can't jeopardize stuff. You can't jeopardize your kids. Don't change anything in the past. But how many other people get that same thing? Like, play it safe, which is so awesome that your parents are musicians and they're like,
well, I feel like they were like, don't do this.
Really? So tell me more. Tell me more.
Oh gosh, my mom, she was very upset when I decided to pursue music. I majored in music business, and that was just like the end of the world because she was like, no, haven't you seen us struggle? Like, how hard it is. And I mean, I think they always wanted me to have it in my life, but they weren't they weren't trying to have me do it full time.
To have it. Yeah.
Right. So it was a bit of a struggle, but I've made it work. I do what I can, and I enjoy what I do. And I think that's the thing too, is we never had a lot of money, but God, they enjoyed what they did every night,
Yep.
So.
And I think that's huge. And the other thing is too, that the fact that you studied music business, I think one of the biggest weaknesses is that people don't understand as well that there is the business side.
Yes.
And I think that is something that I had this really interesting conversation with someone recently about the power of brand, of your brand. And that social media, all that, is simply there to build a brand. So let's take a look at something, right? If a person needs a new job and they go and apply for a job, they apply as a teacher or a video editor or a, accountant. But they're going to get paid at that level of that job. And, how do they change that? They can move to another job. But the real power, this is something I learned from my wife, because when my wife gets a job, she doesn't get hired as singer. She gets hired as Phung Vi, the winner of Vietnam Idol, the first this, and then the person who sang this and this. Like, she has created this brand that now allows her, and the same would be true for Mariah or Ariana Grande or, Bob Dylan. People are not booking, let's get singer. Right. Oh, Bob Dylan? Cool. Another booking.
Right.
Let's get Bob Dylan. Let's get Adele. And those are extreme examples, but like across the board, I think the thing that people, that singers, that musicians have to realize is that your brand is so important to cultivate.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all about who you know, really. I mean, in the music industry.
Yep.
100%. You could be terrible, but if you know the right people, you'll get booked. I've had that experience recently, actually. So it's a lot.
Do tell. Is that a story that you can tell, or is that a story?
I shouldn't. But it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine who's also an artist, because booking is my least favorite part of the whole deal. I hate selling myself, because it just goes against my nature. I'm not somebody who's like, hey, look at me, look me up, listen to me. And so having to reach out to people for booking, it's just my nightmare. So I defer to my friends, and I play with friends a lot. And I've been lucky enough to have enough people reach out to me that I don't really have to solicit booking at this point.
See, there you go. That's an important point, though. If you continue to develop your brand and develop your connections, then you can get to the point where they do reach out, which is so important.
So important. So important. It's all about who you know.
But it is about all you know, but it's also about, I have a great book called The 48 Laws of Power. It's all about power games. It sounds fascinating. It sounds like it's like Game of Thrones reading this book, and it really is. It really is, because it's like all these courtier games and things that throughout history. One of the things too, but it's, and I'm not manipulative or conniving. I think actually I was raised by parents who were, I love my parents, but they were much too naive about the games people play. One of the things too is, like, they said, like, one of the best things you can do is to not show all your cards to people.
Okay.
Let me make an example.
Yeah.
Let me make an example. I want to grow my podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was looking at some different things. One, I was like, well, maybe I could do some fundraising, like a GoFundMe, but then all of a sudden that's dangerous. Why? Because suddenly I look like I'm a guy who needs money to do it. And I want to have a brand that looks like, it's like, this is not a problem. I don't need money. I'm already established. Exactly. Yeah. I'm up there, and it's not a problem for me because I have this level. And then on the other side, I was like, well, my friend was like, well, you start reaching out to people to do, sponsorships, and I was like, hello, today I'm going to talk to you about glue stick.
Right.
Every time I homeschool my daughter, I use glue stick. This is literally something I just grabbed off of my... This is also the desk that I use to homeschool my daughter, because we've been dealing with homeschool because of COVID. My
Well, you're a
point
hero for
being,
them.
though, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm doing a horrible job, but I'm trying my hardest,
No,
so that's
I'm sure you're
okay.
doing great.
So.
Yeah.
But you have to think about how you're presenting yourself. And as a
Mhm.
singer, it's really important too, you know?
Yes,
So,
definitely. And the lines have been so blurred recently between the
right?
influencer space and the what are you doing? What are you selling online?
Right.
I mean, I would not complain if brands said, "Hey, I'll pay you, this much money to,
Right.
use this thing in a post." I'm not gonna lie, I would do that in a heartbeat. But I think you have to decide what's important to you, and
Right.
if your goal is to be a social media influencer, that's a totally different animal. That's a different
That
ballgame,
is.
and just because you're promoting something does not mean you have to be a social media star. It's not
Right.
the same.
There's this interesting phenomenon I noticed, like, and this is something that I had this lengthy discussion with my wife about what is a person's calling card. And one of the interesting things is when I've approached a lot of social media influencers, and I respect everyone's business and everyone's thing, but like the influencers are some of the most challenging to book. And it's because there is, as an actor, your calling card are your films. As a singer, your calling card is your music. As an influencer, your calling card is you.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's simply an access thing. And so the gaining access to the influencers is a really, and I respect that. That's their
Yeah.
business.
No, that's awesome.
But
That's
it's
so
interesting.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great for you because they built their brand, which is
Yep.
cool. But for us as musicians, the more important thing is to go, you know what? Create music.
Yes.
Get it out there.
You are
Because
creating something worth listening to. I feel as though it will follow, and I might be wrong. Don't look at my Instagram. I don't have a lot of followers, but
I believe you.
thank you. I mean, I really think at the end of the day, if what you're selling is good, something's bound to happen. You can't
Yes.
fail if you have a
Yes.
great product. I mean, you
And I
can.
tell people this, because I'm strategic in how I get people on. I'm not gonna lie. I strategically, you know why? And that might sound, I want to find people that are other people. No, how do I say it? I want to find people that want to be out there, that
Mm.
want to be. I don't care how many followers someone has. You can have 20 followers,
Mhm.
but like, are you like creating something that's
Right.
fun, that's special? Because for me, like, and people get behind that. People
Yep.
get behind that, and so I'll go and look at like music agencies and acting agencies and see who are they promoting and why, and like
Yep.
why is
Why?
important, because there has to be something that person is doing that's special or different or unique.
Right.
That to me is where it's at.
Yeah, and I think, there's so much. I mean, the market is so saturated. If you can cut through the noise at all, to have
Yeah.
someone say, "Ooh, okay, I'll listen to that."
But like the secret to cutting through that noise is to be so authentically you.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, it's not about trying to match this or match that. It's about, yo, this is who I am.
Right.
And that's cool.
Right. And I think it's interesting too, because big labels tend to kind of hear what's going on. Like, oh, Billie Eilish came out. She's on the brain because we were talking about her earlier. But, then labels
Yeah.
came out with their own version of a Billie Eilish if they didn't have
Right?
one. And it's like, well, nobody's going to say, I want her because she sounds like Billie Eilish. No, they want Billie Eilish if they want that. So
Yeah. Right?
I try to avoid.
Like, let's get someone like that.
Right,
Other people
like you
are
were saying earlier, no, you've got to.
well, you see it in Hollywood a lot too. Like, there will be like Johnny Depp was like the guy in 2000s, right? And the 90s. And then all of a sudden, like, they started pushing Skeet Ulrich. Skeet Ulrich is a good actor, but Skeet Ulrich just looked just like Johnny Depp,
Right.
and they were casting him in everything. And people, and there's that happens a lot. But Johnny Depp was who he was, and it was kind of his acting and his own uniqueness that kind of made him special. And God bless Skeet Ulrich. I feel bad for the man,
Yeah.
but you know,
It is
he
kind
made
of
some
sad.
money. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of sad. But you know, and I think that coming back to the be your unique self is kind of like, it's so important because it's not rewarded.
Right.
And I think one of the best examples of that is Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga she was signed to a record label
Yeah.
and nothing was happening. And
Yep.
she was doing like more traditional style music, and suddenly she got dropped by the label. I don't know if she dropped or if she left. I think she got dropped. And then she went and she became Gaga.
Gaga. She created a brand, like you were talking about
Yep.
earlier.
It's all about the brand.
It's all about the brand. And the song.
And yet you have to not. Did you hear? There was a great Adele story about her, the music labels that were having this conversation with her, and they were talking about TikTok. They're like, Adele, on your new album, we need some songs that can reach the TikTok generation. She's like, no,
that's not who I am. And
that's
then
not exactly.
And the reward of that is that Easy on Me is now blown up as a trend on TikTok. So
Boom.
at the beginning of the TikTok era, that happened, I guess, in 2020, 2019, I found a lot of artists were releasing songs that were conducive to viralness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think Jason Derulo is an example. He kept releasing these songs that were like trying to be TikTok trend.
Right.
And it did not translate well. People did not respond to that because they knew it's cheap and it's not to insult him. I mean, there's some of his music that I like.
I get what you're saying. There's a difference in that things that go viral because they have that something.
Right.
And I've talked to tons of influencers, tons of creatives. No one knows what that is.
No.
It just is there.
No, and that I think that has always been the case, especially in the music business. There's no roadmap. Any entertainment.
Nope.
There's no set way to do anything. In college and beyond, I love going to like seminars to hear successful songwriters and producers and things like that speak. And I thankfully was exposed to a lot of that in college. And I think that's the best way to learn is to just listen to other people's stories and hear how they, kind of got their break and try to emulate their, not exactly what they did, but their drive and the way that they go about meeting people and things like that. So
one of my, as an actor coming up, I read all these books, and one of the actors' books that I loved the best was Michael Caine on acting. Michael Caine, such a special actor, played Alfred in the Batman movies and many great roles before that. But that was one of the more modern things he did. Michael Caine said this about his approach to acting and success in acting. I took anything. He's like, I take anything they give me. It's not horrible advice. He's like, no. Because his point was, it's a numbers game. You do not know what is going to be your hit. Look at The Big Lebowski. That was a movie that flopped hard. Everyone got written off, and then years later, it came back as this huge hit. And it seemed like a sure thing because it was Coen Brothers, And so you never know. You never know what the thing is.
No,
go ahead.
Sorry, no. If you get to a point, again, with the coddling thing, if you get to a point where you're successful enough and people just tell you what you do is good, Lady Gaga is not going to put out a song that flop. It's going to have millions of streams, regardless of whether it's good or not. So I think, if you get comfortable with doing, subpar work, but you're famous, sometimes that works. But then in the case of like The Big Lebowski, it flopped, even though it was supposed to work because there were well-known people making it. So I think that translates to everything.
Yeah. But again, it comes back to focusing on your craft and really creating stuff that is meaningful for you. Because if you create, and I think that's why Adele's new album is translating so well, is because she waited 6 years, she sat on it, and she came out with stuff that was representative of where she's at and what she's going through. And people respond to that, because we live in a society now, and I think goes back to the Jason Derulo thing. I don't know the song that you're talking about, but I will go look it up. But where I think about, I might get banned from Facebook for saying this, but like how people joke about Mark Zuckerberg looks like a robot trying to be human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and this is the funny thing. Like, have you ever done acting?
No, I'm a terrible actor.
Okay. Everyone is when you first start out, right? So this is one of the things, like say I've got a bottle of water, and my action in the film is to open it and to drink it, right? There's this moment where they're like, ready, action, and you're looking at the bottle and you're like, how in the hell do I open this thing? And it's like everything goes out the window and you're just like, oh God. Is this right? Do I turn here? Do I turn here? It's like you feel so awkward, and that's just kind of what my point being is, that sometimes these people that are trying to sound a certain way, they look like someone who doesn't even know that they're like, just be you. Stop trying to fake it. Stop trying to be something else. And that might be, and the beauty of today is with people crossing genres in music is, maybe you don't know what that you is. Maybe you need to give yourself permission to feel it out.
Absolutely. That was my struggle. I never know what genre to say that I am. And, when you're a young artist and you're applying to things, you have to have some kind of genre to put your music in. And I have been tempted in the recording process to be like, oh, maybe I'll add a steel guitar so I can just call this country. But you never want to compromise the integrity of the song. For certain genre. But yeah, I feel like people conform to that just because they feel like they have to have a genre. And that is what halts creativity in the creative process, because you don't progress musically.
Yes.
You're trying to do
you sit there and you're like, let's stay on a treadmill.
Right.
You're on the treadmill. Everything. Same thing. I always get that. I hit the dilemma every time I'm uploading a song, and I get to that thing and it's like music genre. And I click it and it's like, damn it.
Yeah.
I have no idea, man. I have no idea what this is. Because sometimes, even with established songs, they don't fall in one of those neat little categories. I'm like, is it folk? Is it singer-songwriter? Is it country? Is it pop? I don't know.
Yeah. It's very difficult to figure out.
Difficult. And then even the way that you play that song could fall into a different category. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. But I was talking to a mentor of mine about this. He was trying to help me figure out, submitting my song for things. And he was like, this is a great problem to have, to not know what genre you fit in, because that means it's interesting.
Right.
So.
That's awesome. Well, and I think I love that now we're starting to see bigger artists that are approaching their music and going, what was it? Beyonce in one of her more recent albums did a country song. Why? Mm-hmm. Because why not? She's Beyonce. She can do whatever the hell she wants to do, Right. And it's awesome that she does. But I'm sure there was pushback. I'm sure there are people like, yeah, but that doesn't sound like what you did before.
Yep.
Those people are the death of creativity.
They are. I get where they're coming from a business perspective. Unfortunately, I have both sides since I do have a business degree. But I think at the end of the day, if an artist wants something that badly, that feels like it goes against the grain or what they should do, you should probably let them do it, because they probably have some sort of an inkling of a feeling that it's going to work. And I don't know. I think the artist should be in total control at all times, because it's their, again,
I like that
brand. It's them. They're selling themselves.
Totally. I'm loving following up with. Yeah, I never was a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I'm more on Team Taylor right now with her whole re-recording, so she gets back control of her masters. I was like, she was 14 when she signed that contract.
Right.
14.
Unfortunately, that is the standard for most record contracts. I mean, that's what it is. Which is why, things like, TuneCore and, all the distribution services, they're great. So
they're awesome.
We don't have an excuse anymore to sell our souls.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep going. Fight on. And that's the thing. yeah, I think that this point in time, my friend was asking me, "What are some of your goals?" And and I said, "This is the thing I think I would tell every young singer: be prolific, create, 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 get it out there, create as much as you can.
Yes.
Let other people decide,
Yes.
and
Let other
let
people
people
do the
decide."
stuff that you're not good at. That is great
Yeah,
advice.
right.
Learn what you're good at and stick to that, and then hire people to do the rest, because if you try
Yep.
to do it all, it's not going to all be done well. It's just
No.
not.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like I tried to study mixing and mastering, and I've gotten better. But you know what? If I've got a song that is good, you better believe I'm sending it to a person that's a real mix
Yeah.
engineer who knows what they're doing. Why? Because it's important enough to do that.
Yeah,
To
you owe
take
it
that
to
time.
yourself and to the song.
Yep.
Your
But
craft.
I'm glad that I did learn. And here's
Yes.
why. Because it's like learning a vocabulary.
Hmm.
You know, so I can say, hey, I want to, take this part right in this range. I want to bring, EQ it up
Right.
here or down. I'd like want to sound this kind of a sound.
Yeah.
I want the reverb to be kind of a plate reverb. Having that vocabulary is nice. But at the end of the day, they're the masters at that.
Yeah, and you should learn as much as you can from whoever you can. But
Yep.
I think you should also recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, and
Right.
you know.
Hey, let's take it a little bit closer to home. Like I loved learning things on my car,
Yeah.
But when I need a new transmission, I am taking that car to a service shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's just where it's at,
Yeah.
And so when it's something important. But I mean, knowing about stuff is always important.
Yes.
Now, if I could ask you, if you could go back in time and give some advice to a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give yourself?
Gosh. Probably to just
No time variance. We're not changing things. Just
okay.
advice.
Probably to just be patient, because I think
Okay.
a lot of young people experience this. You feel like you're running out of time. I know in high school I felt like, oh my God, I have to record a song. I have to get a song out, or I'm gonna be past my prime, because look at all these Disney stars like coming out with music. And I'm old because I'm not the youngest person to do something.
I'm not 12 and doing it. What's
Right.
happening?
Exactly. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on a young person who has a desire to create. It does not matter how many people know who you are or know what you're doing, as long as you're enjoying what you're creating.
Yep.
You'll be able to do amazing things if you focus on your craft and you invest in yourself. Then
Yeah.
you can give to others. Then you can pour out. So just be patient and be gracious with yourself, and listen to criticism that is constructive, but cut out the stuff that is not. If somebody's just telling you you suck, you don't need that. But if somebody's saying, oh, I think you could work on this, then yes, listen to that. But yeah, just believe in yourself.
Love that.
Don't sell yourself short.
And I think that I love that second part is see, believe in yourself, and I think those are two sides of a coin. Believe in yourself and don't sell yourself short, because believe in yourself is have the courage to try and do things, but don't sell yourself short is also an important part about having boundaries.
Yes.
Like having boundaries with other people and having boundaries, with yourself. Like, hey, we're not gonna quit until we give this a chance. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that people are so willing to stop.
Yeah.
And you talk about having patience, because I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm 60 some odd episodes in on my podcast, and I'm loving it, and it's fun. But then today I was just like sitting there, and I was a little bit tired, and I was like, I would really love to like have a couple editors doing all the editing for me. But the problem is because it's the story I want to tell, I still have to sit there and do it.
Yes.
I still have to sit there and watch it and kind of do everything. So even if I get someone to do it, it's not going to save me that much time.
Right.
But there was this moment where I was like a little discouraged. And I was like, Sean, and I'm just behind myself. And I was like, you can do it. You can do it.
You can. You can. And, you
Good
know, if you
thing.
need to refuel yourself
Yep.
in order to
Yep.
do the best job, you need to do that. The world can
Yep.
wait for a second.
Yep. Well, I think it's about knowing what is the thing that refuels you. You know, what
Right.
is it that gives you your energy, and what is it that motivates you? And for me, honestly, it's my daughter,
Yeah.
and spending time with her.
Love that.
And she's just, a little beautiful angel in my life. But she's also a motivating factor. Every single time that I want to do something good for her or something, I'm like, you know what? Only way I'm going to get there is if I'm putting in work. And so it's
Yeah.
that fire.
So true. And she'll see
Well,
that and she'll use that in her life. I promise.
I hope so. I hope so. And I think that that's the thing though too, is like a couple people have come onto the podcast. Thank you for saying that. That actually really
Of
was.
course. No, I mean it.
Feels
I mean
good.
it. She's going to see what you do and she's going to emulate you.
I
So
hope so. Well, good and the bad. She
the
kind
fact that
of.
you care is a great start, you know, to give her a
She
good
talks
example.
like me though, and I don't know about. Like I'm really direct. Like I'm a very direct type of a person, and I'll be like, hey. Are you happy? If you're not happy, all right. If you're not happy, then we fix it.
Yeah.
If you're happy, that's great. If you're not happy, stop crying. We fix it. Her cousin stubbed his toe, and she looked at him. She's like, "What's the problem? What can we do to fix this situation? Your toe hurts. We wrap it. If it doesn't hurt, then you stop crying." And I was like,
Wow. A little sponge. I mean, that's.
maybe I should tone it back a little bit, maybe. But at the same time, it was good advice.
Yeah. No, it is. Nothing's that serious, really, for the most part.
Right? No, super sponge. No. If I had Aladdin's lamp, rub it, genie pops out, and you can pick whether it's the Will Smith or the Robin Williams version. Your prerogative. What would you wish for?
Oh, gosh.
Ta-dum! Oh, it's precious.
That's a loaded question. What would I wish for? Oh,
And after you're done, I'm going to share. I finally figured out what I'm going to wish for. I'll tell you after you're done.
Oh, okay. What would I wish
I don't
for?
wanna
I would
influence you.
wish for. I feel like I should say something like world peace or.
No.
something.
Keep it personal. We all know everyone's going to wish for world peace. Keep it about you.
You know what? I really want to be able to like teleport. Can I wish for that? I would love to
hell
be
yeah.
able to like
Hell yeah.
blink my eyes and just be in a new place. I think that would be so nice because I love to travel and touring and stuff like that. Blink and you're there. That's what I wish for.
I dig that. I think that'd be one of the coolest powers. But you want to just make sure that you're not teleporting. You need some type of device to make sure you're not teleporting into the middle of like the pyramid or something.
Right.
Like,
Right. Exactly.
There was a great movie about that with Hayden Christensen called Leaper. It was back after Hayden did the. It wasn't popular, but it was Samuel L. Jackson and Hayden Christensen right after he did Star Wars prequel trilogy, and he was kind of like it was his first foray into like solo acting work, leading man type stuff, and movie flopped horribly, but it was pretty cool concept. It was all about teleportation. It was awesome.
You should remake it.
All right. Well, I don't know. Teleportation's a hard one to like portray in film. I think they did it really well with the X-Men movies, though.
Okay. Yeah.
The old X-Men. They had that. What's his name? Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler. I think.
I'm not sure.
Was the X-Men.
I've been watching I Dream of Jeannie a lot recently, which is like
I Dream of Jeannie is a great show.
I love that show, and it's so funny though.
Do the
to
little
watch
nose.
That's Bewitched. That's Samantha.
Bewitched is the nose. I Dream of Jeannie was the one.
The blink. She like crossed her arms and blinks. Oh my gosh, it's such a good show. But it's funny because they're little tricks that they do. You can tell they just like stopped and she's just standing there and like waiting for them to change the whole set around her.
All right, cut.
So good.
Yeah. Those 60s camera movie TV show tricks in the 60s were awesome.
So good. I'm a classic.
They were so bad, which made them so good.
I love it. This is my favorite genre of TV.
You ever watch WandaVision? They did such a good job at portraying those genres.
So many people have told me I need to watch it, so that's my next project.
WandaVision's awesome for understanding the idea of theme and underlying things that like You just made a good point. Like, you throw a steel guitar onto your song and it makes it country. Well, WandaVision studied like what made the 60s TV shows a 60s TV show. And then
Yeah.
they added all of those elements. It was brilliantly done.
Love it.
Whether you like the TV, the concept or not, their study of the different eras that they go through was brilliant.
Love it.
So
I'm definitely going to watch it.
that's awesome. Well, I'm going to share with you. I've never shared.
Yeah,
I've never been able to figure out what I wanted for my wish. I realized last night, and I'm gonna write a song about this. It's one of the next songs I want to write. Adam Sandler made a movie about it, but it was a pretty horrible movie. My daughter was laying there in bed next to me. I was getting her to sleep, and she started crying. And she was bawling, just bawling. And I said, "What happened? What happened?" And she's like, "Daddy, I don't want to die at the end of the world." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh my God. What a
I don't know how to respond to this. And I was just like, "Oh, you're a little girl. You have a beautiful life ahead of you. You're only 5. You're not supposed to think about stuff like this. You're 5." And I was like, "You have so many days. You have so much life. You have a whole life in front of you." And she's like, "How many days, Daddy? How many days?" And I was just like, and I got her to bed and I just bawled and I just was crying. And the reason I was crying was because it just led me to think about like that. And like the fact that someday she'll be an old woman and she will see the end of her life, you know? And the saddest part is I won't be there.
That is sad.
Really sad, right? And so I was like thinking about if I had one wish, it would be to stop time.
Oh, that's a great one.
If
you could just stop it at life's best moments and just live in that.
Just freeze
forever.
it there.
Yeah,
that's
a better wish than mine. I think I like that.
No.
It
took me a while. Teleportation's rad, but I'm not gonna lie. I can't wish for teleportation because I wouldn't be an X-Men. I'd be the bad guy.
Don't say that. No, it's not good. Use your power for good.
I'd be Robin Hood though. I'd be straight up Robin Hood. I'd be like popping into bank vaults and be like, "I got a brick. You're poor. Now you're rich."
No.
Great power comes great responsibility. I would do the right thing eventually.
Yeah.
Be in an unorthodox way.
Well, that's the fun of the movie. You figuring out how to do that. So.
Right. Now, do you have any fun projects that you're working on that you'd like to tell people about?
Yeah, so I just came out with a new song called Sunliner Drive.
I loved it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I wrote that one with a really good friend of mine, Jack Jordan. You should also check out her music. She's fantastic.
I will look her up. I'll get her on.
Yeah, please do. But I just did that, and we have a music video coming out in a few weeks for that, which is exciting. So follow me on everything so you can see it. And then I'll have an EP coming out at the beginning of next year. So I'm very excited about it.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
I'll be playing some dates. I'm planning a little tour right now, so keep up with me, and maybe you can see me somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.